Welcome to Middle School Walk and Talk, a podcast series offering heart, hope, and health to members of our middle school communities. Hosts Phyllis Fagel and Jessica McGuire talk all things self-care, student well-being, school culture, and more. Middle School Walk and Talk is designed to support the concepts found in the Successful Middle School, This We Believe, and is a production of the Association for Middle Level Education. To learn more, visit AMLE.org. Today's episode, Perfectly Prepared for Imperfect Systems, with guest Rashad Anderson.
Welcome back to AMLE's Walk and Talk podcast. Today, we are excited to be joined by Dr. Rashad Anderson, who is a professor at Metropolitan State University in Denver, where he leads the Call Me Mr. Teacher Leadership Program. He's also the author of 2 books. Dr. Anderson, can you tell us about your work and your writing?
Absolutely. Good morning. So I graduated from a program in 2010 called the Call Me Mr. program. And the Call Me Mr. program is a 25-year-old program that started in South Carolina. And the mission is to recruit and train more African-American male teachers into the classroom. At the time, 2% of all teachers in the country were Black men. Since the year 2000, the number has decreased. We're now about 1.3% of all teachers in the country. And so the program exists as not only are we recruiting, but I call it a teacher leadership program where we're building revolutionary educators that are so powerful and dominant. If you put one of them in a school building, they change the entire culture of that school building. My work, I've written 2 books. The first book is entitled, What's Up with All the Black Boys Sitting in the Principal's Office. That book is an examination of teacher interactions and school practices that cause African American males to devalue or disengage from school. And my second book was just like a follow-up because I wanted to not only just put the research there, but a call to action. That is called Doing Something About It, a guide to building a high-impact school mentoring program, which I found that mentoring programs have high implications for student success. Mm-hmm. And so that book is just a practical guide for teachers that want to provide some extra help outside of the classroom in order to help students that may be struggling. And so that centers around a lot of my work in research, teacher recruitment, retention, school disciplinary practices, and the impact of mentoring on a student's trajectory.
So I have a 2-part question.
Yeah.
The first is, and I could hear your enthusiasm. I've been having trouble saying enthusiasm all day today. I could hear your enthusiasm when you were talking about Call Me Mr. and how your teachers changed the culture of the entire building.
Yeah.
So I would love, part A of this question is to know, what is it about what they're learning or what they're doing that is enabling that to happen? And the second question is, obviously this is needed, but what do you attribute the drop from 2% to 1.3% to? Because I was not expecting you to say that the number had actually gone down.
Yeah. So I'll go with the first part. What is it that's so special about Call Me Mr.? When I was first at South Carolina State University, historically Black college and university. I was teaching there for 8 years prior to transitioning to Denver. And during my tenure, I had 17 Teacher of the Years that graduated. And I had to go back and kind of think, what exactly are we doing that can create an environment to produce so many Teacher of the Years? And I think what it is that our misters are involved in the classroom from their freshman year all the way into their senior year. So by the time they get to student teaching, the classroom is not something that's foreign to them. They have an adept kind of knowledge on how to maneuver in a classroom. They know how classroom management works. They have a scope of politics within a school. And so part of, I think, the dysfunction with a lot of things that's happening with teacher education is that we don't prepare our candidates to go into imperfect systems, and that's what schools are. Schools
Yes.
are these imperfect, chaotic, political, sometimes juvenile centers of learning.
Yeah.
And so part of my kind of role is to not prepare you for a perfect system, but prepare you to lead in imperfect systems and go into a schooling environment and not be one of those teachers that say, I am so shocked by, how bad things may be in education. No, I want you to look in there and say, I'm a solution maker. What can I do and bring to the table in order to be a solution maker? I asked my missus a simple question. Are you a thermostat or are you a thermometer? And if you think at the difference between the two, thermometer is going to check the temperature of the room, a thermostat is going to change the temperature of the room. When you go into a school building, you will have teachers that say, oh, this is how it's always been done.
Yes.
This is how we do it here. You're doing too much. You don't have to do that. No, those are examples of thermometers. You need to be a thermostat in your classroom, in your environment, in the places that you have responsibility for, that you give it 110%, that you come to the table and say, I'm here to be a solution maker. And I think that is the difference. In terms of what is attributing to that 1.3%, that number has kind of sharply declined in the past recent years. And I think that it's a large part of the political climate. Okay. What do you see with the large-scale anti-DEI movements, the politicization of curriculum into schools, and how I think that schools are a microcosm of society. And the woes in which we are currently experiencing in America now has trickled down so much to where it is very hard to recruit into the teaching profession overall. If we look at school districts across the country, everyone is struggling. But then you would think about a young African-American male who's fresh out of high school. Why would he want to become a teacher? We know statistically African-American males tend to experience K-12 experience and turbulent experiences. And the best way to recruit a teacher is to have a positive teacher in your life. A lot of them don't report having that. And on top of that, if you go into certain spaces in cities and classrooms, you know that will be a very hostile environment just by you walking into the building. And so I'm really worried, but I have hope that things will get better.
Along the lines of creating positive school experiences for students so that they connect that with maybe their future and becoming a teacher. You write about the disproportionality in disciplinary actions. Can you tell us kind of what you're seeing and maybe the most common factors contributing to that?
Yeah, across the spectrum, there are a wide variety of, I would say, the way in which behaviors are perceived.
Yeah.
Ann Ferguson, in her book, The Making of Bad Boys, referred to students of color that their actions are adultified in a sense to where if you have their peer, who may not look like them, do the same type of behavior at a fraction and saying, oh, boys will be boys. This is just something that they do. He'll grow out of it. We don't have to slam down the hammer. But when you have a student of color do it, it is, oh, this is intentional. This is deeply problematic, and we got to slam down the hammer because this is somebody that's going to grow up and be a menace to our society. And because of the difference in approaches to certain behaviors and how hard and harsh they are, we find that male students of color, males also in general, are struggling in school across the board. Yeah. I was watching Anderson Cooper the other day, and on his show, he had a guy that was talking about, boys are really struggling in our society. There are a number of politicians that have statewide initiatives to address some of these things. So if we think that boys are having, turbulent times in school, when we take that into action, we think of students of color, and I'm not just talking about African American. I mean, imagine a kid that is Hispanic or maybe bilingual in the political times that we are now. I mean, school is not even a safe space anymore.
Right.
So there are a number of reasons that I think attribute to the school discipline problem. I think, again, schools are a microcosm of society, and sometimes we have biases that's not even intentional, but we have to constantly be reflective in order to check our biases. Yeah.
Actually, it really points to the importance of the investment you've made in mentoring programs and how important mentoring is, just to counterbalance that to the extent you can. You can't change all of society, but you can bring someone in who's going to have an impact on somebody's perception, maybe of how safe that school building is, or whether anyone in that building has their back. And I know you wrote about building school-based mentoring programs in your second book, Doing Something About It. If you were advising somebody who wanted to implement a mentoring program that truly supports students academically and socially, given all of the work you've done, where should they start, or what's that first step that they could take?
Step one is just mapping out the vision that you want for your program. There are different varieties of mentoring programs that you can do. You can have some that focus entirely on behavioral reform. You have some that focus entirely on academics. Then there are some that are designed to build cultural capital, to give students skills that they necessarily wouldn't find in the classroom, like learn how to tie the tie, financial understandings, all of that. So there has to be understanding, what do I want my mentoring program to accomplish with these students? I think that's the most fundamental step. What I found in my experience is that if you do a program and you, like, say you're going to do one that's for behavior and academics, you put all the students in there that are behavior problems, that's a recipe for disaster. If you have one that's about academics and you put all students that are struggling, recipe for disaster. What I found is you got to have a mixture of students. If you're going to have behavioral students, you got to have character model students in there. You have struggling students, academic, you got to have some gifted students in there, because that peer mentoring piece is so important. They learn more from their peers than they actually do an adult in the building. So that would be my kind of starting advice.
That's great advice. You know, the connection that I make with that is when we do a social skills group as a counselor, we never only have students with weak social skills.
Yeah.
Because number one, someone needs to model it. But number two, it's going to feel like a stigma that you're in there because there's something wrong with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Exactly.
You're right. Well, this year on the Walk and Talk podcast, Phyllis and I are ending each session with one practical question that we'll ask our guests, and something that our listeners can apply right away. So if a middle school teacher could take away one mindset shift from your research and your own experience, what would it be?
There is good in every student. And no matter how much a kid may be a headache to you at some times, I guarantee that you can find something good in that kid. And oftentimes is that when a kid acts out, it is a result of some trauma or something that's underlying. And so instead of getting frustrated and just tossing away, my one hope is to consider, do some digging. See what could be driving that kid to behave that way. And sometimes there's an approach. A different approach is try, instead of saying all the negative in a student, and see what it looks like when you start saying positivity. And I think that in my experience has proved to be more impactful than just disciplinary measures. So yeah.
Recognizing the good.
Yeah.
And you can always find it.
You can always find something good.
Absolutely. Dr. Anderson, thank you so much for sharing your thinking and your insights with us today. Where can our listeners find and connect with you and find out more about your work?
Absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn, Rashad Anderson, PhD. I'm also, if you type in Google, call me Mr. MSU Denver. We have a whole webpage about the work that we do in Denver, Colorado.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.